it's Reagan, and today I'm coming at you in my favorite stripy dinosaur dress. I'll leave a link down below if you're interested. To bring you guys a spring reading recommendations video. I really wanted to make a video full of books that I feel are like light and fun and dreamy and all the things I think of when I think of spring. Funny story though, when I was trying to collect the books, I came to realize, I was very much confronted with the fact a lot of the books I read are like not very happy. Like they have a lot of drama and death and like meanness to them, so I was like, oh, this will be easy. Then I was like, wait, that's not very like springtime happy. Anyway, I have collected a list of books I'm very much excited about and I'm excited to show off, so let's just go ahead and jump into the video. First book I'm going to talk about is my most recent read, and to me just perfectly personifies this whole dreamy, otherworldly feeling spring sometimes gives me in terms of reading taste, and that is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. This book is so deliciously written. The writing in this is absolutely beautiful. It is dramatic. It definitely has a lot of elements going on, but oh my gosh, the dream imagery and the dream metaphor that's carried out throughout this entire book is just amazing. And honestly, to me, the perfect spring read. I love this book. I completely loved it, and I'll talk about it more in my wrap up, but this is a dual perspective YA fantasy novel following one of our main characters, Strange the Dreamer, and he's grown up in this sort of fantastical world. It's very much like our world though, being there's not a lot of magic, there is alchemy though. He was raised by monks and he escaped that life and is now a librarian, and he basically helps scholars find the right texts and things like that. However, he himself is a bit of a scholar because he's obsessed with this city known as Weep. Weep, at the beginning of this story, about 15 years ago or a decade ago, lost its name and no one has been able to find it or even speak its name since. And he becomes fascinated with the city, and an envoy actually comes, which he joins, and they're collecting scholars and geniuses and architects to go to that city to solve a mystery. He goes, it's kind of the start of the story. It's absolutely amazing, and it really, like I said, has a lot of dream imagery that I just think is just so great. And Laini Taylor's writing is superb. Such a good book. The next book I'm going to mention I want to talk about because I honestly just think it's a whole bunch of fun, and I think it's just like the perfect read to have on just a nice spring day off when you're outside, things like that. And that is My Lady Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. This is a not so historically accurate historical fiction book that has some fantastical elements. It follows My Lady Jane, or Jane Grey, who in real history is killed off very quickly as she is technically queen for 5 days. In this story, however, she has magic and there's all sorts of intrigue. I really like this book because all the characters are really fun and funny, and I also like how the narrator often breaks the narrative and breaks like the fourth wall, which I always think, if done well, is one of my favorite story elements because I just think it's so funny. And this book, like I said, is just lots and lots of fun. It's not, you know, groundbreaking literature, but it'll definitely entertain you and it'll definitely pass the time. So next book I'm going to talk about is definitely another whimsy, magical, beautiful, ethereal kind of book, and that is Uprooted by Naomi Novak. This is actually a fantasy standalone, which I find in itself is very rare within the genre, and it follows this town that's on the outskirts of this forest, and the forest is very much alive and is very, very dangerous, and they're kept safe by this forest by this dragon wizard in this tower. However, there's a deal between the village and the wizard that they must send a girl to be like his servant for 15 years. The girl never comes back. It's all very mysterious. Our main character is chosen by the dragon to be his newest assistant. We follow her as she kind of discovers about herself, uncovers the mystery of this dragon tower. Like I said, this book is again so beautifully written. It's like very whimsy and very magical and very, like, I don't know, otherworldly. It has a very, very amazing writing style to it that is just very light and beautiful and delicate. While yes, this is a darker fantasy story, I think the nature element of this book adds a really cool, mysterious, and sinister twist that also has like a spring-ish element if spring was kind of evil and trying to kill you. But anyway, it's a really, really great story, so if that sounds interesting, I would highly recommend checking it out. Next on my list is a contemporary recommendation, and that is Everything, Everything by Nicola Yoon. This, I think, is a perfect book to pick up this spring, as the movie is coming out very, very soon. It's a young adult contemporary novel following our main character, Maddie, who is legitimately allergic to everything, which makes her confined entirely to her house. She can only really hang out with her mom and her nurse Carla. Obviously, she has to be really careful who she even ever comes into contact. They have to be decontaminated. everything like that. She's actually very content in this life with her family and her books. However, one day a new neighbor moves in, and that neighbor is Ollie. She begins to form a very close friendship with him. They confide into each other and they begin to grow feelings for one another, and she herself is confronted with the reality of is she satisfied with the life she has now, and is she satisfied with the life that she will always have, or is she willing to take different risks to try to live more experiences? I actually personally really love Maddie. I thought she was really mature, and this book has really awesome illustrations throughout it, which I really feel like adds to the overall element and Maddie's personality and the storytelling itself. Really liked this. Next book I have to recommend to you guys, I just think is a whole lot of fun, and that is Soulless by Gerald Carriger. This is a very, very famous historical fantasy series. It follows our main character Alexa, who is a spinster. She is in her mid to late 20s in Victorian England, which basically makes her, implies that she is bizarre because she's not married yet by the age of 24, but she is actually much more than that. She is a detective. She actually has no soul, and she gets involved with solving crime involving vampires and werewolves because they can't affect her because she is soulless. Alexa is amazing. She is hilarious, she is loud, she will tell it like it is, and I love seeing her mess with the societal expectations and just breaking all sorts of societal norms, and it's just hilarious, and you root for her and you love her because you're just inspired by her, and she's totally badass. So this is just a super, super fun, quick read, and there's a lot of books to this series, and I need to continue on with this series as I've only read the first one, but the first one I can guarantee is a whole lot of fun. And the last book I'm going to recommend to me is like the personification of spring, and that is Furthermore by Tahera Mafi. It follows our main character Alice, who's grown up in Farronwood, and Farronwood is a magical and colorful place, but she is very odd because she herself is colorless, and this makes her stand out within this community. Magic is very much a part of this world. People like buy it and consume it, and everyone kind of has some sort of ability. However, at the beginning of this novel, Alice's father has gone missing, and she wants to go on a quest to save him or find him. So she sets up on a quest to save her father in this land Furthermore, and she joins up with their arch nemesis to do so. This book is whimsical. It has such fantastical characters and creatures and animals and lands. It's honestly so beautiful and so lovely to read. Every page is a little gift. I absolutely love this book. Tahera Mafi's writing is just so suited for this genre in my opinion, and I just absolutely loved this story. I thought it was a whole lot of fun and just, again, perfect for springtime. So if you haven't read this, I would highly recommend reading it now. I really don't think you will be disappointed by it. Alrighty guys, those are my spring reading recommendations. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down below some books you think I should read this spring, as I would love to know. And I will see you guys soon with another video soon. Goodbye!